All right, hello everyone. I'm Mark Hummel, and this is Mark Hummel's Harmonica Party, my podcast. And I've got somebody I've known for many, many years. He's a bass player extraordinaire from the East Bay, and been on the East Bay for many, many years. Karl Sevareid.
And I did not bring a harmonica.
And you did not bring a harmonica, and I didn't bring a bass, but you did.
I did.
Yes. So we're going to talk to Karl about a lot of his road exploits and recording exploits and just life in general and music, because you've made your living, as I recall, pretty much the whole time, haven't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say I was a professional musician from 1967 on, certainly.
Wow.
But like with most musicians, it's hit or miss. So it's the concept of vacation doesn't really exist, because if you've got time for a vacation, that means you don't have any work, so you don't have any money or for take a vacation. And so like a lot of people, I developed. Well, I had a side gig, right? When one's times were slack, then work a little day gig, what have you. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. And I've been very fortunate and had some really good gigs.
You definitely had some good gigs, yeah, no doubt. And you've played with really a who's who of famous artists over the years. But before we get into that, I wanted to just mention you told me you were from Southern California?
I grew up in Southern California. Yeah, my dad was in the Army. So first years of my life, we lived several different places, and then my parents split up. Mom moved out to LA, and that's where I grew up.
Uh-huh.
And you grew up in Southern California.
I did. I sure did. What part of SoCal did you go?
Mostly in what's Highland Park. It's kind of northeast of downtown LA.
Right.
Highland Park, Mount Washington, Eagle Rock is out there.
Yeah.
I know La Cañada is further upstream. But it was kind of like a small town in a way. It was kind of blue collar and middle class, and a lot of families, like schools I went to. The parents of my schoolmates would have had the same teachers in some cases.
Wow, the parents would have.
Yeah. And,
wow.
Grandma lived down the street and whatever. So
Yeah.
it was,
What a trip.
yeah, it was very kind of small town feeling in a way. Hollywood was almost like another planet.
Yeah. But that was near Burbank, isn't it? Near Burbank?
Well, I guess. I mean, I didn't know where Burbank was.
Yeah. I think it's kind of in between Hollywood and Western
Kind of north. Yeah, it's kind of right. Yeah. So, point being that it was, all the entertainment industry was there, but unless you happened to be, like, for a while, our neighbor worked in Hollywood somehow. I think he was a writer or something. But, and so it was, but it was not, I didn't start knowing anything about the scene in Hollywood until I, late in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, your uncle is Eric Sevareid, the famous newscaster.
Right.
And so that's your dad's brother.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And did he live in LA as well?
No, he lived in New York and Washington,
Okay.
I think. So, I didn't see him very often.
Yeah.
He was, my mom was very much a fan of his.
Yeah.
And, they were friends. And whenever he came through town, we'd hang out a little bit.
Right.
But, not very tight with him.
Yeah. Now, regarding music, how old were you when you started playing?
Well, when I was in seventh grade, was it beginning orchestra, played clarinet, took lessons.
Wow, so did I.
Oh, yeah.
Played clarinet.
Yeah, well, at that time, it's like everybody played something.
Yeah.
Right? And that lasted for a couple of years, and I never went any further with it.
Right.
And then when I was in high school, I guess I was a junior in high school, and I had a friend who played music, and I wasn't particularly. I mean, I liked music. There was so much great music on the radio back then. We're talking about 1962, 63. It was right before the Beatles broke. And it was, they're on the mainstream rock radio, you would hear all kinds of stuff, Jimmy Reed and Slim Harpo.
Right.
But, we didn't know what that was. So I knew it sounded great.
Yeah.
So, I was a music consumer in that regard. But then my friend, it started mainly as kind of a social thing. My friend said, "Hey, we need a bass player." And I just said, well, I'm thinking, gigantic. So that, how does that work? And anyway, one thing led to another, and started playing, the typical little band, at that time we were doing like surf music was the big thing.
Right.
So like the Ventures and things like that. But that also would be, Freddie King instrumentals, stuff like that.
Wow.
And if there was there might be one or two perfunctory vocals, it'd be like Don and Dewey, Farmer John, whatever like that. And, the guitar player would show me the bass part, and, like the first song I played was probably Miserlou or something. And it's like, you start to get the idea of go, but keep doing it, and somebody else is doing something else. And then suddenly it's like, oh, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
To be doing something, playing music to somebody. So,
did you borrow a bass or buy a bass?
At first it was like, electric guitar, somebody's electric guitar with 4 strings.
Oh, okay.
Lower 4 strings.
Right.
And then one of the kids in the band, his dad was a professional musician. They were Mexican American. They were from Albuquerque.
Right.
And the dad, Andy, was, every night he would go drive out to Gardena and play in a kind of a lounge band thing, with his shine shoes and his tuxedo. And Tommy's mom worked as a cocktail waitress. So they were real great, other kind of musicians.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my dad's friend was, encouraging his son to play all kinds of stuff. He had to play tenor, sax, he had a drum set over there. And then, so ostensibly, he bought for his son a silver-toned bass guitar, but actually it was for me to play.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
That's what it ended up being. So, and then later on, the dad hooked me up with some old colleague of his who played Latin music, who was retiring and had a Fender bass. And so I bought my Fender bass.
Wow. Do you remember what it cost?
I think I still might have that little receipt that it might have been $150.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
You still have the bass?
No, a friend of mine stole it from me.
Really?
Yeah.
Bastard.
Yeah, but he's dead now.
Probably, serves him right. So who are some of you, when we first started talking about doing this thing, me and you got into a really deep, long conversation about all the different musicians from very early on that you played with. And I think it pretty much starting in Los Angeles, and a lot of the...
Yeah, I mean, I
kind of fell in with.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of playing, at that time, it was, in suburban, white-ish L.A. at that time, there was a lot of things going on. So I had friends who were interested in playing bluegrass music, and, they borrowed a bass from the school
Upright.
Yeah, not like, and I played a little bit with them. And then another bunch who were kind of folkies and got interested because Jim Kweskin's jug band was popular.
Yeah.
And so, we got together and learned a bunch of jug band tunes, but none of it was from source material. It was all from, white reinterpreters.
Right.
The Dirty Dozen, or no, what is it? Something Dozen.
Oh, Even does.
Even Dozen jug band, it's Cambridge people.
Right.
And actually that band got a job at the Ice House.
Oh, I
In
know
Pasadena.
the Ice. Yes. Yeah, I played there one time.
Famous folk joint. It was kind of like college date nights,
Right.
like real square,
Exactly.
real preppy.
Yeah.
But a lot of good people that worked there. And so we went down for their hootenanny night, and they offered us a gig for like 6 nights a week for 5 weeks.
Wow.
And that kind of blew my junior college career out of the water because I couldn't get up in the morning.
Wow.
8 classes.
Yeah.
But so, and the rock bands, which were essentially instrumental bands, like I was saying, like the Copy and the Ventures.
Right.
And then I got the guy that got me sucked into playing in the first place. He was a drummer, and he ended up playing with much later with the Peanut Butter Conspiracy.
Wow.
Which
I remember that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
and so
Were they were from LA.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's where they formed.
Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Yeah.
So, but a whole bunch of them.
Anyway, that was my friend Jim Voigt, and he went to LA Conservatory, I think is what it was called. He didn't last long there, but he made friends with this guy, Hank Jacobs, who was an organ player who had a minor hit on Sue Records called So Far Away. It was an organ instrumental. And so he had kind of a, trying to get a career going. They were, he was real young too. He was like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And so he lived down in South Central. And so he had got this review going, the Hank Jacobs Review. And there was a vocal quartet called the Phonetics. And the leader of that was Willie Hutchinson. And later on, he was going by Willie Hutch.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was on Motown. Really good songwriter, great singer, great guy. And then there was a couple of other featured singers, whatever. And so we would go do the talent nights and the clubs down South Central. So at that time, it was kind of, I think there was a thing about having, like there were a bunch of multiracial bands.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah, there was a band, Mixtures, out of Ventura, I think. They were really popular. So, it was kind of a thing.
Yeah. There's also a famous Central California band called the Merced Blue Notes.
Don't know about that.
Who were awesome. And they were a mixed band.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were great.
So, and like, probably the biggest show we did was up in Bakersfield, and it was sponsored by the John Birch Society. If you could believe that.
Unbelievable.
And it was on, Lincoln's birthday or something like that. I was at the Bakersfield Civic Auditorium or something like that.
And it was a multiracial band?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, we weren't the only act.
Right.
Also in the bill, I think headline was Tab Hunter.
The movie star.
The movie.
Wow.
who was kind of in decline, and he was half swacked.
Was he? Yeah. That's great.
But it was pretty funny. The show was a total disaster because what the promoters didn't figure out, they thought, well, I think the next day was Lincoln's birthday.
Right.
They thought, oh, that's great. It's a holiday.
Yeah, right.
Well, it wasn't a holiday, and so there was nobody there.
Oh my God!
And but on the way there, we're driving. If you know Southern California,
oh yeah,
to get from Los Angeles to Bakersfield, you go over what's called the Grapevine.
Right.
It's a mountain
range,
and it's real steep.
Right.
And so we're like 4 or 5 cars in caravan.
Right.
5 people, white people, young people, and we're driving up there, and then we notice this highway control car. He's kind of pacing us.
Yeah.
And looking at us and checking it. And like, I don't have any experience about this stuff, but everybody else is. Boy, here we go. And right about that moment, so the patrol car tire blows out, like violent, like wham, and he's so we make it over the hill to the.
Boy, God was on your side that night.
Yeah, I didn't. And so they had dinner for us in the back of the John Birch Society bookstore, and it was pretty funny.
What a bizarre story!
Wow. But the Watts riots put the kibosh on that band.
Right.
That was going on.
So that was that 64 or 65?
I think that was 65.
Yeah.
Yeah. Called up Willie. He said, well, probably shouldn't come down here for rehearsal.
Yeah.
And that never picked up.
Wow. That's heavy. Yeah. Well, so you see him prior to that, though, it was okay?
Yeah.
Played at South Central.
Yeah. Okay.
It didn't feel funny.
No, it didn't feel
threatening.
No, it was very strange.
Right.
Because I had a lot of black friends in junior high because I went into a junior high that was kind of right in the middle. There was Chinatown over here and these projects here, and there's a majority Mexican American.
Right.
And that was a great experience.
Yeah.
But it was, different being around so many black people.
Right.
So it was different, but did not upset me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who were you? You obviously would have been right in the middle of the when the counterculture thing started too.
Oh, yeah.
Was that in LA?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. By 65, the counterculture was going to start the next year pretty.
Right. I forget what year it was that LSD was made illegal. But it was around 65, 66.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Were your friends into drugs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone was smoking pot. Were people taking acid at that point?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? By 65, 66?
I think so. I could be wrong, but
okay.
Más o menos.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely more of a feeling of kind of anything goes.
Yeah. By the way, what happened with the draft for you?
What happened for the draft, with the draft for me was I'd had one of the guys I played music with was a couple of years older. He was working at like some low-level job at Dean Witter, the brokerage. And he said, he was in the National Guard. And he said, you need to get into the National Guard. And I said, okay, whatever. He said, no, like now.
Because of the draft.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was just sort of,
not paying attention.
This will try.
Yeah, right.
And so he went down and joined this unit, and the next month you couldn't even get into the National Guard.
Real.
Oh yeah, because they were. What was happening was they were the National Guard. It's part of the Army, and what you do your basic training in the same facilities as a regular Army. So, that they get a batch of trainees. They say, okay, we got these people have enlisted, these people have been drafted. We got spots for this many National Guard, to train for this. And so, but there was such a load of people that they were, getting ready to ship over to Vietnam. That all the training facilities they were totally concentrated on that. So it's like, put a hold on, we're not listed. And plus there was a rush of people trying to get in.
So did you get in?
I got in, but I never even made it to basic training.
Really?
Because they were putting a hold on National Guard people going into training because they needed those.
They needed
spots.
Space, right? Yeah, I got.
So it was like, at any time we can call you up, and in 30 days you have to show up and go do your training. And this went on and on, month after month, month after month. Yeah. And what happens there is there's a monthly weekend meeting, National Guard. That's part of the obligation. Mm-hmm. So we would go for these monthly meetings and, totally untrained. They don't know what to do with us. She would, gave us some kind of funky uniforms.
Yeah.
Actually, I had the boots for a long time. The boots were a good idea. And then I got further and further off into playing music, ended up moving up to Northern California and, transferred to a unit up there, went to a couple of meetings. It's still going on. We don't know when you're going to have to go to basic training. And then the band I was in moved to Santa Cruz. So in order to get to where the meetings were in Alameda, it was like Greyhound bus.
Oh my God.
And at some point, it was like,
they kind of, you got lost in the shuffle. And
And then like many months later, I sort of turned myself in and said, look, I can't deal with this, either, take me, this is driving me crazy.
Right.
Because I bet. Actually it was.
I bet.
And the upshot, I don't know how it happened, but I was out with a general discharge.
Wow.
Not honorable, not dishonorable.
Yeah, but at least general. Yeah. Well, good. And so,
No.
So as far as like the scene in LA, how would you describe like the musicians that because you obviously would have gone from like surf bands into bands that were getting more and more experimental or psychedelic or whatever, rock. I don't know. What was
that?
What happened? How'd that work?
After the Hank Jacobs phonetics thing came apart, I hooked up with this guy who was really interested in playing blues.
Oh, okay.
And, he turned me on to a lot of stuff. I'd listened to a lot of blues. It was mainly, like Lightning Hopkins and things like that. And then, of course, Paul Butterfield was really popular, kind of in that time.
Right at that time, yeah.
And so that got a lot of, college kids interested in the blues.
Right.
And there were a lot of bands that were trying to be blues bands. And what you would do is you would copy Paul Butterfield, because that's what you do.
That's kind of what it was.
Which is not a terrible place to
terrible,
start.
but
then this guy that I fell in with, he had, had somewhat of a deeper, knew more about it. Turned me on some good records, and we were trying to put a band together. and played with different people. And anyway, he was from Palo Alto, and he started hearing.
Okay.
He started hearing about the.
But he was living in L.A.?
He was living. But he started hearing from his friends about the ballroom scene in San Francisco. And, Bill Graham was putting on shows at and then finally at the Fillmore and the Avalon. And And so my friend thought, we should fire luck up there because the gigs were really hard to come by in LA.
Yeah.
As, all very spread out.
That's what I
There's a
thought.
lot.
That's how, that was my feeling too. When I moved up here, it was because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I encountered a lot of people in LA, early in my music life who, maybe we got together, played music once or twice, and, then come to find out, oh, yeah, that guy ended up playing with Bobby Gray or something.
Let it go. Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of people, playing with all different configurations, right?
Well, Country Joe was from down there.
Always?
Yeah. And so was Barry Melton. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Both those guys they were from Elaine. Yeah. Yeah. Joe was in El Monte. That's what he Yeah. Yeah. So, it wasn't that unusual for people from down there to make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we came up here and, went to some shows and heard the San Francisco rock bands, and it was like, oh, that sucks. Because, they were both what I would use the expression blues queers.
Right.
Blinders were on.
Yeah.
And, if it wasn't like Little Walter, Muddy Water, then, it sucks.
It kind of did.
Well, that's a judgment call, Mark.
Well, I know it.
You and I can share
the funny thing is, the funny part of it is that I got into blues through psychedelic music.
Really?
Yes. I heard, Cream and Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and Big Brother and The Airplane, all those bands. I was a huge fan of all.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, once I heard the original guys, that's what flipped me over to that.
Right.
Because I went, wow, if these guys, why is it that these guys are making all the money? And then I heard Muddy and Jimmy Rogers, and I'm like, why aren't these guys making the money?
Right.
They're the guys that really know how to do it.
Right.
So, yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry. I digress.
So anyway, but there were a lot of places to play up here.
Comparatively.
Yeah. So we had this band, and my friend had been trying to get this really good guitar player that he had met in L.A. Who was there was kind of a genre of South Bay, talking about Southern California, South Bay, Hermosa Beach, blah, blah, blah. South Bay Telecaster players. Henry Vestine was one.
Wow. Yeah.
Jerry McGee. Yeah, he was a major session cat. Vestine did a lot of sessions too, but McGee played on a lot of Monkees records.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Hell of a player.
Yeah.
And there was this other guy, Steve Auberg, and he was really good. So finally, Steve, my friend Gary, convinced him to come up and try to make a go of a band. And Steve Auberg was a inveterate surfer, lifeguard. Besides being a hellified Telecaster player.
Right.
So he needed to be somewhere where he could just surf. So we ended up in Santa Cruz.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And at that time, there was a venue called The Barn in Scotts Valley.
Really?
And it was run by this psychologist named Leon something or other. It was probably just a dodge to hang out with college students. Yeah, but it was, it was like a former church or something.
Right.
It was a performance venue. And
Right.
I mean, Big Brother played there all the time. And this was like 65, early 65, I think.
So it would have been before Janice.
No, she was in the band.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she joined till 66.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
And, a lot of the San Francisco bands played there. We play there sometimes. Anyway, they fired me. And
They did?
Yeah.
Why?
They got a better place.
Really?
Yeah.
Who'd they get?
His name was Bob, and he was somebody that Steve Auburn knew. He was part of this.
Yeah.
And he was really good.
Yeah.
So I ended up at loose ends, and eventually ended up back up in Berkeley.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of, you went from Santa Cruz to Berkeley, which were very similar kind of places, I think, in a lot of ways.
Wayne and
Sort of. I mean, they were both counterculture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both hippie towns. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
One was a beach town, which kind of gave it a different vibe.
So I ended up, why did I end up there? It had something to do with, I knew some people there who I played music with a little bit, who were a couple of guys from Fairfax High, and they were, going to school. They were undergrad at Cal, and so I ended up, staying with them. We played some music, actually got a band together, another blues band, and started playing some gigs around. And then that's when I met Charlie Musselwhite.
Really? With that band?
Yeah. Well, at the time I was playing with that band. Right. And we heard that Charlie Musselwhite was around, and he was going to be at one of the housing co-ops in Berkeley. It's like a cooperative housing.
You talk about by Gilman, that area?
No, up by Euclid, north side of campus.
Oh, okay.
Right. A couple 3 things.
Right.
It's like a big dorm, blah, blah, it's not a frat house.
Right.
You do 3 hours of work, kind of thing. Funky partying going on all the time. And so we heard that Charlie was going to be there playing with some people, and it was like kind of a jam.
Yeah.
And so someone was up there and played with them. And it turned out that Charlie had recently moved out here.
Right.
From Chicago, because he was, he'd come out here with his band. I actually heard him at the Avalon Ball with his Chicago band.
Oh, okay. With Harvey Mendel.
With Harvey, yeah. And Seide the key around us.
Yeah.
Good band.
Yeah.
And so they decided to move out here, all of them. And then they got here and just
splintered. Yeah.
Started getting into the scene.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, Sandy ended up playing with Sandy the key, the drummer, playing with I think he played with Cold Blood.
Really?
For a while.
Why?
He was a monster.
Really?
Crazy as a tick.
Yeah.
Good.
What a trip.
So anyway, Charlie was without a band.
Right.
But he had things going. He had his record out. He was getting played on the long format FM station and this college station. So he was trying to get a band together. He and his wife and 3-year-old son were living in an apartment in Berkeley, in the Derby College.
Oh, that was the one Tim lived in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tim lived
Just upstairs.
Just upstairs.
Right.
And so got to
Kim Kaihatsu.
Kim Kaihatsu. And so that's how Tim met Charlie.
Right.
And, pretty soon after they met each other, they'd be spending all day while Shirley was at work.
Right.
Charlie and Tim would be listening to blues. Charlie had all his blues records.
Right.
And then, drinking big bottles of beer, listening to blues records.
That was the thing to do.
That was the thing to do. And Tim had
a teacher at that point?
He was student teaching. Yeah, he was in a program to get certified as a teacher.
Right.
He was at Cal.
Right. And Sventok.
Tim Kaihatsu, great guy, great musician, incredible jock.
Yes. Yeah, I had heard that.
He was from San Diego, and he was like school president, senior class president, quarterback of the football team.
Really?
Oh yeah, just all American.
Yeah.
And so he had some connections with this housing co-op where the jam happened. And so Charlie picked off me and the drummer from the band that I had put together.
Right.
And said, hey, you could come play with me. And
Now, who was the drummer? You remember?
his name is Dave Odell.
That sounds really familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
His son, Jack Odell,
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
played with Bill Kirchen for 8 years.
Okay. That's what I'm thinking.
Really good drummer.
That's who that's how I know that
From the
name.
Baltimore area.
Right. That's how I know that name. And he was in the trio, I think, with
Yeah.
Bill. Yeah. Right.
Jack, his dad, Dave, was an English teacher at SF State and drummer. And probably he came up as a jazz drummer, but he was in the blues band with us. Nice guy, and so Charlie wanted us as a rhythm section. So it was me and Dave, Tim Kaihatsu, Clay Cotton.
Really? So that's how you met Clay that right ago.
Clay was playing in another blues band called the Liquid Blues Band.
Huh.
Based in Oakland.
Yeah.
And then he should have also hired the guitar player that we had been playing with.
Right.
But it was the Fairfax High kid.
Right.
But Charlie couldn't stand to look at him because it reminded him of Mike Bloomfield.
That's great. He had the curly hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really similar appearance,
Charlie's told me some funny stuff about Bloomfield.
And Charlie just knew every
Yeah. And him and Bloomfield were like that, but I think there was a lot of
I think
a lot of stuff. Yeah.
It's not to
A lot of sense.
But so that was Danny Pfefferman,
Right.
and he went on to be a huge deal in the Unification Church.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. He had kind of a
That's the Moonies, right?
the Moonies. The Moonies at that time had this place over on the north side of campus in Berkeley. It's like, group home thing, and they would, have these dinners regularly. Oh, come on in.
Was this the purple outfits and stuff?
I don't think it was, no.
Okay.
I think it was,
Okay, that's a different thing.
but it was, and they would just, they would appreciate their guests so much that they would never want to leave. Anyway, I didn't see Danny. None of us saw Danny for a long time.
Oh, my goodness.
One night he was on the evening news from being interviewed in Vietnam, where he was doing some kind of, outreach. It was some kind of total right wing,
Yeah.
up with people kind of. Anyway, but a great guitar player.
Yeah. But very interesting times.
Very interesting at that.
Yeah.
And that happened a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you're a fun interview, because you were there.
And Mooney, on the top of Mooney's, you interviewed Terry Hank, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Terry Hank, wonderful tennis player,
Right.
singer, band leader. He had a band called Grayson Street.
Right.
I'm sure you got
Of course. Yes, we did.
So this was one of the early stages of Grayson Street. I didn't play with them until later, but, would always enjoy seeing them. Right at this, Johnny Vernaza was playing bass.
Oh, wow.
That's the first time I ever saw Johnny.
Know that.
Johnny had been playing with Gideon Daniels.
Huh.
Do you know about Gideon Daniels?
Listen.
God. Gideon Daniels, great singer, sounded just like Mahalia Jackson. And he came out of a gospel environment. He was gay, and he had a band called Gideon and Power. And he had them all wearing like robes.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a rock band.
Yeah.
It was Tyler Ing played drums, Charlie Hickox played piano, and
Johnny V was.
Johnny V must have been playing bass on the record. And it was very this gospel thing, but agnostic. It's like Gideon was great. He was a friend at Elvin's.
Yeah.
And Gideon would do this thing called Flowers While You Live. And it would be like a party, celebration at a bar, to celebrate some particular person. Interest everybody.
Yeah, that's great.
Flowers While You Live.
That's great. Yeah.
And that's the first time I saw Johnny V was playing with Grayson Street.
Right.
Johnny was playing bass, singing taut falsetto, and just singing his ass off.
Wow.
And the drummer, they had a really good drummer who became a Mooney. That was my friend Danny Day.
Another Mooney.
Yeah, did you say from
Right.
And then Grayson Street suffered a series. It was almost like Spinal Tap. Like 3 drummers all became Moonies.
I remember Grayson Street very early on. They were one of the first bands I got to see when I moved up to Berkeley. And they were playing at the Keystone. I remember one of the first times I saw Elvin on his own was with those guys. And they were a great band.
Yeah. Like before
I didn't see him till Ricky Kellogg was in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was probably quite a bit later.
The Elvin connection with Grayson Street comes from Tucker. Luther Tucker.
Right.
Tucker played guitar. I don't know how.
With Grayson Street?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But then, so at that time when I first, when I had those drummers I was talking about, it was before Becky.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But they would. The guys from Clover would later became like Hugh Lewis,
Huey,
and Tom McPhee.
Right.
They'd come over to Berkeley to the Bears Lair.
Well, really?
Was to hang out and listen to Grayson Street.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Yeah, I know John Otis was in there early on too, or he had something to do with it.
Yeah, he was. I think maybe that was a little later.
Yeah,
but they all
Lenny Pickett was in there.
I don't know if Lenny played
really
with Grayson Street, but at that same time, there was the street band.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Right, John Otis. They were the Bus Puppet, Sorrel Clausen.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Ricky Kellogg.
Right.
Lenny Pickett.
Can't
remember the guitar player's name. John Knight. the bass player. Did you ever hear John Nye? Scary young Berkeley-based. He just phenomenal. And we were pals.
Yeah.
And he played with Grayson, and he was so funky.
Yeah.
And he played upright in the street band.
Right. I've seen pictures of that.
There's stuff. I found a SoundCloud live recording of that.
On the street?
Yeah. Lenny Pickett playing clarinet.
Wow.
And they're doing, there's no drums.
Yeah.
Maybe John's playing some kind of percussion, but it's not a drum set. And they're doing, like a James Brown song. And by the end of it, it's Lenny Pickett on clarinet. It just sounds like an insane klezmer, James Brown.
That's great.
Wonderful.
That's great. There were a lot of great musicians in the East.
Yep.
There really were. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Let me jump ahead a little bit. Now with Charlie, you were in that band, but you're kind of in and out, weren't you?
Yeah. It is funny, back then when you think about, it seems like something maybe took a year or two to happen.
Right.
And then you look back at the dates and figure it out. Maybe it was only a couple of months.
Right.
There's like this weird kind of time.
Yes. I can see that. Yeah.
So, when I got with Charlie, and pretty much right away, we did that second Vancouver.
Right. Stone Blue. Yeah.
And at that point, I was recorded in Hollywood.
Okay.
And Days, the drummer, didn't make the cut. He was out there like after the first day.
So who was the drummer?
They got Eddie Ho.
That's who he's a studio guy.
Right. Really good drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Not a blues cat at all.
Yeah.
But, he did a good job.
Yeah. But it was still Clay, you.
Right.
Tim Cahots.
And the second, I didn't get to the second guitar player, whose name was Larry Welker.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that name.
And I don't know how he got to know Charlie. It must have been in that same period when Charlie was looking for people.
Right.
So it ended up as two guitars. Larry was an art student at what was then CCAC.
Oh, yeah.
And he was from Detroit, from Michigan. So when the drummer situation happened and, Dave got fired, Larry started pitching Lance Dickerson.
Okay. Interesting.
Because Lance, they played together
in Michigan.
Right. And Lance was playing with Billy C. in the Sunshine.
Oh, right. Which is like Billy C. for to the
Cody band.
Cody band. Right. I forgot that he played with Billy C. in Michigan.
Right.
Yeah. Before all that.
And Lance's dad was a jazz drummer.
I believe it. Yeah.
So Lance flew out and, just fit right in.
Yeah.
And then we started touring and, of course it was like, how did we even tour? Cars out here on the West Coast. But then when we went east, first we went to Chicago. First place we went was Chicago.
Really?
And that was great. Charlie took us around to, I think I was telling you about that, 1915 Roosevelt Road.
Oh, was that Howlin' Wolf's? No, that was Eddie Shaw's place.
Okay.
Eddie Shaw's club. Where Wolf had the
little narrow, the bandstand was up against the wall, and
that's where
it was long and narrow.
Yes, that's the one that Eddie Shaw had a club that Wolf played out.
Okay.
All the time.
Because, Charlie took us there.
Right.
We walked in. Early Hooker was playing, and it was Geno Skaggs and Bull Moose Jackson.
No. I know who you drive, but Big Moose Walker.
Right. And Farfisa, Oregon.
Right.
Freddie Roulette playing.
Oh, so that's how
Well, Freddie, Charlie knew Freddie
Right.
from Chicago.
Right.
And but first I ever heard Freddie was Charlie. Charlie would play records for us, and he had this single, Bo Dudley,
Oh, yeah.
Shotgun Rider.
Right. I saw Bo Dudley and Freddie doing gig together.
Oh my God!
Yes.
We didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It's just, and Freddie Roulette is all over that record.
Right.
Freddie Roulette, blues steel guitar
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Right.
And we didn't know what the hell it was.
Right. It's such a weird sounding instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Like a lap steel, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No pedals.
Okay.
And so here's early Earl Hooker. Oh my God.
The greats.
The greatest.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's that just laid thing where they're, it's chugging along and it just sounds great.
Yeah.
And obviously they've been doing it for hours and they're going to be doing it for some more hours. and most of us in the band didn't have any kind of experience like that.
Right. Right.
So that was great.
Yeah. And where did you guys play? Do you remember?
No,
Was it Mother Blues or something, maybe?
no, I don't think it was some, psychedelic emporium like the electric something or other.
Huh.
It was a big,
Yeah.
horrible
Kind of a
psychedelic ball
supermarket.
trying to be like the
Right.
Just
To be
like San
Fillmore's. Yeah.
the light show
Right.
and strobe lights
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
horrible sound
Yeah.
and Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes I think were
Really?
in the bill.
They were on it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just
Yeah.
horrible sound and we did not.
Do you remember, did Tom Radai book those gigs?
I had no idea.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. And I know, like we were talking earlier, that apparently you guys would have tours where you'd drive all across the country, but then you'd end up with all these nights off and staying at people's houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lance kind of told me a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
Actually, and said it was could get pretty grim.
Yeah. I think after Chicago, we went to New York City.
Right.
And we had there was I think the main reason we're going there was to play this club. Turned out this very famous club called Steve Paul's.
Oh, the scene. Yes.
Right. Which I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And that was a little downstairs nightclub, and at that time I wasn't aware of it. Like Jimi Hendrix,
Everybody played there.
and he'd go down there and jam with whoever.
Yeah.
Everybody played there, and so we were on the bill. By that time, Clay Cotton had left. He went on to greener pastures and playing with Tracy Nelson.
Right.
Mother.
Yeah.
And actually, down at the scene, I think we were there 2 weeks. One of the weeks we overlapped. We were there with Tracy and Mother Earth.
Okay.
And that was fun because I, knew everybody was friends.
Right. So you knew all those guys, Toad and
Well, I got to know them.
Yeah.
And of course, Clay was playing. Got to know the drummer, Lonnie Castile.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Did he play with Charlie for a minute?
He may have.
Yeah. I think he did.
At one point.
Yeah.
He was very good, and they were all good. And then I think the next week, or part of the run that we were there, a few days was Mose Allison.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the time, Betty Carter.
Wow. What a trip.
Yeah, really a trip.
So they were on the same
bill. Yeah, with that.
What a trip.
I mean, and we were sharing the dressing room, which was the office, which was about a little smaller than your living room. And the living had a couple of couches, also the desks and
Two babies.
and also the place was mobbed out.
Yeah,
And
I had heard that.
And, so we'd be hanging out back there, and from time to time, one of these young guys with lapels like that,
Right.
and chains and stuff. Is, okay, everybody out.
Really? You'd have to vacate.
Yeah.
What a trip, man.
And so we were staying at the Albert Hotel.
Oh, yeah, that's a famous.
Rock hotel.
Right.
And it's so gross.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, we had it, okay, me and Tim at the time, Clay's place was taken by Skip Rose.
Right.
Great keyboard player.
But a mess.
Coming.
To put it mildly.
Tim, Skip, me, and Larry Welker rented a suite at the Albert Hotel. Oh, it was like economical.
Yeah.
Like it had a kitchen. I mean, all the walls were painted black. and you go into the kitchen and turn on the light, and it was like a moving carpet of roaches.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
How horrible.
It was really grim.
Gee.
And so we sort of, after the scene run was over, things were a little spotty.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to book us, we played a couple of things here or there.
Yeah.
But, and Lance, I think the whole time was staying with his aunt.
Oh, okay.
Or a relative.
Yeah.
In Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know where everybody stayed. Charlie was at the Albert.
Right.
This. But yeah, then things got very spotty. Lance told you.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
I ended up, it was Christmas time, and we were still stranded out there.
Yeah.
But Charlie took pity on me and took me with him to go to Shirley's folks' house in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
It was really great.
Yeah.
His in-laws' house, and Shirley and little Charlie were there, and they had some all-night parties with all the neighbors and friends, and my first taste of chitlins and
okay.
stuff
All
like
right.
that.
Now, was she black?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Very light skinned.
Yeah. I was going to say, because Charlie Jr. is.
Yeah.
He doesn't look. Yeah.
No, Shirley's dad, pretty dark.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. So how long do you think you guys were on the road?
I think it might have been
3 months or something?
I think it was 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. That was what I remember.
As during that time, Tim quit.
Right.
I think he quit before we left New York City because he was so fed up.
He was fed up with
Tim Guy Hansen just would not suffer fools gladly.
Definitely.
He could get so angry.
He had one of my favorite stories about Skip showing up late for one of Charlie's gigs, and Charlie just unloading on him, and he goes,
and it was really great, you could see these tufts of bloody hair all over Charlie's shirt that he had. that Charlie had unloaded on him.
"Oh man,
we missed him dearly.
Yeah.
As is the case with a lot, when people die, those of us who are left behind say, "Oh yeah, he's such a great guy." And,
Well, I really done.
great. Yeah, I mean, he is a great guy. But,
I'm done.
He was an angry son of a bitch.
He was
Really
maybe
smart.
that's why me and him got along so good. I don't know.
Really funny, really
Yeah.
smart.
No,
and
what?
and sometimes just a real ass.
He could be a real asshole. That's probably why me and him related so well.
No, he was one of my close friends.
Yeah, I know you guys
years.
really good friends. Yeah, yeah. And see, I was his neighbor. And that was how come we became friends.
Because College Avenue?
No, I lived on Piedmont, which was just above college.
Okay.
Piedmont?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the street right above. And so I was literally like a block away from his house. So I would always, I'd go over there and hang out. And we talked blues. I bought an amp off him. I bought an old Gibson off of him one time. So that was before Larry Blake's, as I recall.
Would have been.
Yeah. But,
so where were we?
yeah, anyway, yeah.
So, we did, come up with some gigs and, a very memorable.
So you were able to get by without Tim. And
where that was leading was, when Tim quit, Charlie called up Freddie Roulette.
Oh, okay.
And Freddie came right out. We were still in New York.
Okay.
And I remember that I wasn't rooming with him, but I remember hearing from Lance and Larry. They were rooming, a hotel, not Albert, and waking up in the middle of the night, and the temperature in the room is turned all the way up, and Freddie Roulette is sitting in a chair in his underwear, practicing.
Oh, that.
Yeah, but I was,
Oh my God.
and this pipe, the pipe is always smoking that terrible smelling pipe.
Right.
And,
Dude, that would make you nuts. That would make you nuts.
anyway,
It sounded like you were underwater.
I have a very clear memory of we got we had a gig in, must have been Richmond, Virginia.
Right.
And we were in DC, and at that point we had gotten a drive-away car.
Mm-hmm. Right, I remember those.
And that's because this was a thing from those days where someone needed to get a car from here to there. You put an ad in the newspaper,
Right.
And I guess you just can't believe people would trust people to do that. And we ended up with this big ass, I don't know what it was, full size station wagon,
Right.
American station wagon.
Yeah.
And so we had to get from DC to Richmond for this gig.
Right.
And there's some hills involved.
Right.
I forget exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So I was driving over through these hills, and the storm came in, and it began to snow, and it kept snowing and snowing. We kept driving. I kept driving, and I'd never driven in snow before.
Oh my God.
And it's down to one lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Freddie, was three of us on the bench seat in the front seat.
Right.
Freddie's sitting next to me, and he starts coaching me, and it's so fucking great. He taught me how to drive and still.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
On the fly.
What a
It's
talk about trial by fire.
where you can't stop
Right.
because there's no place to turn over.
Right.
Now.
Right.
So you just have to keep going, and and you say, speed a little gas, here, head into the skid, all that stuff. Wow. And a couple hours later, we got to the other side out of the storm, and my back just felt like every muscle in my body was all cramped. But that was Freddie Roulette.
Wow. So he got you out of it.
Got me through there.
Yeah. Now, was he a Buddhist at that point? Do you remember?
No,
it was not.
No.
Okay, but it wasn't that long before he became one.
Well,
he started chanting pretty early on, I think.
I always thought he got into that. Well, definitely by the time he was in Fresno with playing with Bruce Connie and Victor Connie.
Oh, okay.
And Lonnie Castile, playing, this kind of funk band.
Right.
He was definitely chanting then, because Bruce had the story about, which I heard the story from you.
Oh, but the concert told me that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, there's a Bruce Cotty. That,
About the bicycle.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were kind of, they didn't study this Buddhism too seriously. What are you chanting for? Why do you chant? Why do you chant the things that you want? Which is what the Nichiren Shoshin Buddhists do.
Right.
And what are you chanting for? So I need a bicycle. You want the bicycle. And so Bruce and his brother Victor went out and stole a bicycle and left it on the front porch. Freddie walked out and there's his bicycle.
Then it works. That's funny because Hudson changed it to where it was Charlie.
Right.
Yeah. He changed the whole story.
Who knows what's true? We'll never know.